حقیقت یوں بیان تھا، قیامت پسلیوں کا ٹوٹنا، اے میرے تنہالی سیدہ فاطمہ تم سے جدا، اے میرے تنہالی، اس میں سب احساس ہیں میرے بسے، ہاں بہت دل سے سنوارا ہے اسے، اب حوالے آپ کے ہے گھر میرا، اے میرے تنہالی سیدہ فاطمہ تم سے جدا، اے میرے تنہالی، ہے مارا کنفذ نے تماچا جب مجھے، پڑ گیا اس کا نشاں تو روح پہ، بھول بیٹھا تھا دھڑکنا دل میرا، اے میرے تنہالی سیدہ فاطمہ تم سے جدا، اے میرے فاطمہ زہرا، جلتا دروازہ گرا پہلو پہ جب، حال تھا میرا علی اس دم عجب، تنہا در کیسے ہٹایا تھا بھلا، اے میرے تنہالی سیدہ فاطمہ تم سے جدا، اے میرے فاطمہ زہرا، وقت رخصت آیا ازلان و کریم، صبر دے مولا کو اے رب عظیم، دو جہاں نے آج یہ نوحہ پڑھا، اے میرے تنہالی سیدہ فاطمہ تم سے جدا، اے میرے تنہالی، اے فاطمہ زہرا، اے فاطمہ زہرا،
اور محمد و آل محمد صلوات.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد، لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد، أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، لا أقسم بهذا البلد، لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد، البلد لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا أيحسب أن لم يره أحد أيحسب أن لم يره أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا أيحسب أن لم يره أحد أيحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ألم نجعل له عينين ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين أيحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ألم نجعل له عينين ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات.
وآل محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. कहाँ जाए आखिर बयाबान हर सू शिकस्ता है पहलू اکیلی ہے زہرا، کہاں جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو، شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، در فاطمہ کو جلایا ہے تم نے، کیا وعدہ اپنا بلایا ہے تم نے، تماچے نہ مارو مسلمانوں جاؤ، علی کو بلاؤ، اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، بیاں کس جا کر کروں درد اپنا، ہے غیروں کی دنیا نہیں کوئی اپنا، کوئی ہائے بابا سے کہہ دو یہ جا کر کہ لے جاؤ آ کر، اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، اے لخت جگر اے حسن بن حیدر، یہ نانا کے پہلو میں سونے نہ دے کر، تم آ جانا پہلو میں سو جانا ماں کے بقی میں یہاں پر، اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، شہ کربلا نے کہا رو کے ماں سے، یہ مظلوم بیٹے نے مظلوم ماں سے، اکیلا ہوں میں بھی اکیلی ہے زینب، اکیلے ہے بابا اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، در فاطمہ کو جلایا ہے تم نے، کیا وعدہ اپنا بلایا ہے تم نے، تماچے نہ مارو مسلمانوں جاؤ، علی کو بلاؤ، اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، کہا جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو، شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. Brothers, before I start the announcement, may I please request you to move a bit forward with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. Ahsant. Thank you. We have sad news. It is with sadness that we share the news of demise of Kaunain Ali Abdul Razak Chandu, who passed away in Dar es Salaam and was buried today, and also Maimuna, daughter of Fida Hussain, wife of Shams Haji, who passed away in Karachi and was buried today. Suratul Barakatul Fatiha. Today is Saturday, 16th November 2024, eve of 13th Jamadil Awwal 1446 AH. You are requested to kindly keep your mobile phones on silent during the programs, and please always keep your belongings with you at all times. Sunday, Salatul Fajr will be prayed at 6:30 a.m., followed by lecture and breakfast niyaz. Sunday, 17th November, Majlis has been arranged at North Watford Cemetery at 2 p.m. And Thursday, 21st November, Jumerat program will start at 8 p.m. with Surah Yasin, and Majlis will be by Shaykh Anwar Jaffer. Those who are interested in reciting du'as, ziyarat, or Quran in the main hall, please email recite@hujjat.org. There is a humble request from the Secretariat and the volunteers that the tabarruk and tea will not be served until everyone is seated, as there has been a lot of tea spillages on the newly laid carpets, and we thank you for your cooperation. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع لذنوبنا وتبيب نفوسنا أبا القاسم محمد. والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. وفقنا الله وإياكم بعلم وعمل صالح إن شاء الله، بذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. Respected elders, brothers, sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. after the martyrdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih. History tells us that Fatima Zahra alayhi salam went into distress, severe distress, extreme sorrow, extreme grief. And the reason for that is because of the tragedies that befell upon her. On the one hand, we have the incident of the house. On the other hand, you have the incident of Fadak. But more importantly, as the narrations explain, it was the separation from her father that was heavy on her. During this time, from the time of the death, the martyrdom of Rasulullah, up to her demise, she was crying, lamenting, weeping publicly, privately, during the day, during the night. The narrations go on as saying that every moment during the day she was in the state of grief, intense grief. To the extent that the people of Medina, they would observe Fatima Zahra alayhi salam going to the qabr of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And unloading everything that was there within her heart. It's interesting because this grief that she went through, in its extremity, she would always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she would sit there alongside the grave of her father and she would say, she would recite poetry, she would mention certain words, she would speak to her father. In one narration specifically, she says, in reference to her father, speaking to her father, she says, there were news and disturbances after you, meaning after you left us, there were certain things that happened. If you were to witness them, if they were to happen whilst you were alive, the calamities would have not seemed so great. But your presence, because it is not with us anymore, the calamities were great. We lost you like the earth lost its rain. The people have become ill. The people have become sick. Save them, for they have become afflicted. At times she would recite poetry, the famous lines of poetry, where she says, "Subbat alayya al-masa'ibu law annaha subbat ala al-ayam sirna layaliya." At first she would say, what is of those who smell the torba of Ahmad, the soil of Ahmad? They would not, if they are not to smell any other fragrance after it. By God, if the calamities that have befallen upon me, if they were to fall on the day, it would become night. These words explain to us the significance and the tragedies that she encountered, the experiences that she had, the grief that she was going through, and ultimately how she navigated through it by referring or referencing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at every stage of the way. What's interesting is that the people of Medina, they were observing all of this and it troubled them. It was overburdening for them. So they came to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and they said to him, Ya Ali, tell your wife to either grieve during the night or during the day, because as it seems, she's grieving throughout the day and throughout the night. It's overburdening for us. We cannot handle such level of grief. Tell her either during the day or during the night. Now, how can Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam convey that message to Bibi? So he goes into the outskirts of Medina, he builds a small room which is known as Bayt al-Huzn or Bayt al-Ahzan. She would go, she would retreat into this small room and she would cry and lament. And then in the night she would return home. Why was there such level of grief expressed by Fatima Zahra alayhi salam? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. From the narrations of the Holy Prophet of Islam, when he begins to examine his relationship with his daughter, he explains it quite well. He says, Fatima bid'atun minni, she is a part of me. In a different narration, he says, Hiya ruhi allati bayna jambay, she is part of my ruh that is from my side. So the ruh of Rasulullah and the ruh of Fatima are one and the same. There is a deep spiritual connection that exists between the two. The separation, the physical separation, was extremely difficult for Fatima alayhi salam to experience. Hence the level of grief, the level of sorrow. Because of that spiritual connection, you find that Fatima alayhi salam found it very difficult to carry on living without the presence of her father. Because she turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah azza wa jalla intervenes and He Himself begins to console Fatima. Question arises, how does Allah console Fatima in this situation? According to the narrations, and there are plenty of narrations in these regards, they say that Allah allowed an angel to come into the presence of Fatima, and this angel began conversing with her, began communicating with her. So this angel, according to many of the narrations, Jibreel alayhi salam would descend into the presence of Fatima and he would engage in a conversation. This conversation brought about what is known as the Mus of Fatima. So all of the conversations that were had between Jibreel alayhi salam and Fatima alayhi salam, the conversation, the information that he imparted upon Fatima, she recorded everything. And this was compiled into a book known as the Mus'haf, the book of Fatima alayhi salam. Now, many have challenged this. And they've said, well, hold on a second. What the implication of this, what this means is that Fatima alayhi salam received wahi from Jibreel alayhi salam. How is it even possible for Fatima to be conversing, to be interacting with an angel, let alone receiving wahi? So the challenge is two-fronted. How can she communicate with an angel first and foremost? Beyond that, how can she receive information? Because receiving information is considered to be wahi. When we turn to the Holy Quran, the Quran highlights that there are three female personalities, three women who received wahi, who communicated with angels during their time. The first being the mother of Musa alayhi salam. When Musa alayhi salam was born, Allah reveals to the mother of Musa, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَى. Awhayna, wahi, same word is used. We revealed upon the mother of Musa, an أَرْضَئِيهِ, feed your child, your infant. فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ. And when you fear for his life, then place him in the tabut, as the Quran mentions, and place him on the Nile. وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي. Do not fear, do not grieve. Circumstantial, you have to realize, understand. If you have a personality like Fir'aun going around killing innocent infant children, this is a woman who's just given birth. Now she fears for the life of her infant. There is that fear, that authentic fear that has burdened her heart. Allah consoles her. La takhafi wa la tahzani. Do not fear, do not grieve. This matter is now in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the fact being, أوحينا إلى أم موسى, we have revealed upon the mother of Musa alayhi salam. Now, according to the Mufassirin, the ulama, how did Allah communicate with Musa's mother alayhi salam? Either through, for example, an angel, either through a dream, or through inspiration. But the fact that perhaps there is a chance that an angel may have communicated with her, it shows that this level of wahi was through an angel. The second example, a more clearer example, is the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now, when the cohort of angels, they entered the house of Ibrahim alayhi salam, in some circumstances, the Quran mentions before going to the Qawm of Lut and destroying the Qawm of Lut, they came towards Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam and they conveyed news, bishara. They gave good news to Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَإِمْرَأَتُهُ قَائِمَةٌ. His wife was standing alongside him. فَذَهِكَتْ. When she heard or when she saw the angels, she laughed. فَبَشَّرْنَاهَ بِإِسْحَاقٍ. We gave her good news of Ishaq. Again, through angels, information was imparted to the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam that very soon you will give birth to a child by the name of Ishaq. Second example, wahi that is done through an angel. Number 3, Maryam alayhi salam. Ya Maryamu, inna Allah astafaki wa taharaki wa astafaki ala nisa'il alameen. Allah has chosen you, purified you, and chosen you over all the women in the world. Again, this information was conveyed through an angel. Now, when you look at the positionality of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, You often find that there is comparisons that are being made, the fadila that are shared between Maryam alayhi salam and the Holy Lady Fatima alayhi salam. And these narrations are very explicit in their nature to show that Fatima's position, her maqam, is far greater than Maryam alayhi salam, let alone Sarah and let alone the mother of Musa alayhi salam. That Ibn Abbas narrates from the Holy Prophet of Islam when he speaks about the right of Fatima, he says that indeed Fatima is what? Sayyidat al-Nisa al-Alameen. فَقِيلَ لَهُ. It was said unto him, he was asked, the Holy Prophet was asked, is this in reference to the fact that Fatima is the leader of the women of her time? He says, no, that is specific for Maryam. With regards to my daughter Fatima, she is the leader of the women of all time, min al-awwalin ila akharin, from the first until the very last. Explicit narration. If you refer to Hakim al-Nisapuri in his book, As-Sahihain, he mentions a narration narrated by Aisha, al-Mu'minin Aisha, where she says that when Rasulullah was on his deathbed, Fatima was grieving, she was crying, she was lamenting. He turns to her, he says, Ya Fatima, why do you grieve? Why do you cry? Are you not happy that Allah has chosen you to be the leader of the women of this world? That Allah has chosen you to be the leader of the women in Jannah, in paradise. This is something to be happy about. This is a maqam that is exclusive for you. So when we turn to the Quran and we see that there are 3 women, holy women, who were given revelation through an angel, why is it difficult to understand or to even come to an understanding that Fatima alayhi salam was also given revelation through an angel? If it was possible for them, it is very much possible for the Holy Lady Fatima alayhi salam. Hence, when you refer to the narrations, there is a title that is attributed to Az-Zahra al-Batul. And what is it? She is known as Al-Muhaddatha, the one who was spoken to. Al-Muhaddatha, meaning that she was an addressee. The angels used to address her, they used to speak to her. She was the one spoken to by the angels. What type of speech was this? Is this the speech that you and I conventionally engage in, that I talk, you listen to my voice with your ears? Literally? Or is there a metaphorical dimension associated to this? When we refer to the Holy Quran, the Quran uses a lot of metaphorical language in relation, in description to, for example, the disbelievers. They are blind, the Quran says. They have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, but they cannot hear. The Quran uses this metaphorical language. So, we cannot conclude to confirm, to say that Jibreel, when he communicated with Fatima alayhi salam, it was directly through speech and she was hearing his words. Perhaps he conveyed information directly to the heart of Fatima alayhi salam. Now, we come to the second area of the discussion. This mushaf, this knowledge that was imparted to Fatima alayhi salam, what exactly happened? How did the angels come? What exactly happened? What did the narrations describe? Now, there are 2 major narrations that speak about the interaction between the angels and Fatima alayhi salam. One of the narrations, there is a bit of an issue with it, but nonetheless, we should be aware of it because there is a whole section in Al-Kafi. When we refer to Shaykh al-Kulayni's Al-Kafi, rahmatullah alayhi, there's a whole section when he speaks about the reality of what is known as the Mushaf of Fatima, the book of Fatima. This narration is from Imam Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. And he mentions, he says that no, it wasn't Jibreel who came to Fatima alayhi salam. In fact, there were 3 angels, Jibreel, Mikael, and Israfil. The 3 high-ranking angels, they descended upon Fatima alayhi salam. When they came or entered the presence of Fatima, they saw that Fatima was praying, she was standing, and she was engaging in salah. Now, when was this? On a Friday night, meaning Thursday night in our language. Just before the time of Friday Fajr. So the last 2/3 of the night, when she's engaging in Salatul Tahajjud, this is when the 3 angels approached and entered her presence. They waited, they stood waiting until Fatima alayhi salam sat down and completed her salah. When she sat down, the angels then sat down. When she finished her salah, collectively, all 3 of them, they said, Assalamu alayki ya binti Rasulillah. Rasulullah sends his salams directly to you. The narration goes on to explain that they had a book with them. What they did was they placed the book on the lap of Fatima alayhi salam, and that was it. They then ascended, they bid their farewell, and then they ascended towards the heavens. Fatima alayhi salam, what she did was after Salatul Fajr, she opened the book and she began reading it. And she read it up to the time of Dhuhr. She stopped for Salah. She carried on reading it until the time of Maghrib. So all those hours she was engaged in reading this particular book. And that's how the Mus of Fatima came to be. Now there's a problem with this narration. Oh, by the way, within the ulama, there are those who accept this narration. There are those who question the authenticity of this narration. Those who accept the narration, they say, or they create a similarity in contrast to the Holy Quran. They say the Quran was revealed by Jibreel alayhi salam, a single angel, whereas the Mus of Fatima was revealed by 3 high-ranking angels. Does that mean that the Mus of Fatima is greater than the Quran? No, it doesn't. And it's not a fair conclusion to make either. I'll explain why. Secondly, the Quran was revealed over 23 years. Gradually, the Mus of Fatima was given all in one go. We do not consider the Mus of Fatima to be greater than the Holy Quran. Why is that? Because the objective of the Quran is different in comparison to the objective of the Mus of Fatima. The message that is there within these 2 books are completely different. The objective of the Quran is that it is a transformative book. It allows the human being to understand what is real, what is reality, for them to then be able to interact what is real. Understanding Allah, understanding the significance of the message, understanding that everyone will be accounted for on the Day of Judgment and how they can turn to Allah and connect to Him spiritually. That's the role of the Holy Quran. Is that the same role of the Mus of Fatima? No. There was a reason why the Quran had to be revealed over 23 years. The reason being is because it was transformative, it needed people to change, and the gradual change helped best facilitate what the Quran was looking for from the people. The Mus'haf of Fatima, the objections that were raised amongst the ulama with regards to this particular narration. The first objective was, there is a particular narrator within the sanad, within the transmitters, the chain of transmitters, so there is a question mark on its reliability. The second objection was a more theological objection. The theological objection was, we as the Shia Imamiyya, this is the opinions of some scholars, they say, we as the Shia Imamiyya, within our madhab, we do not believe that anyone can see an angel, meaning that Fatima alayhi salam could not see an angel. Yes, she is considered to be muhaddatha, she conversed and she heard the angel, but it doesn't necessarily mean that she saw an angel. Now someone may say, well, hold on a second, Sarah saw an angel, Maryam saw an angel. Why is it difficult to say that Fatima alayhi salam saw an angel? A distinguishment needs to be made. Because when the angel appeared before Maryam alayhi salam and Sarah alayhi salam, they appeared as a human being. To such an extent that when Maryam sees the angel within her own private room, what does she say? She says, do you not fear God? She did not recognize him to be an angel because the angel came as a human being. So there is a difference between when an angel approaches people as a human being, whereas when an angel approaches in its own true essence. With regards to the second, amongst the ulama, they say that Fatima was not capable of seeing the angels in their true essence. They could hear, they could converse, but they could not see. Brothers, can I request that all of you, inshallah, stand and move as much forward as possible, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Ahsantum. The second narration, which is more stronger, which is something that majority of the ulama refer to, begins to explain that that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam explains this beautifully. He says that after the martyrdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, Fatima stayed in this world for 75 days. So this whole narration or narrative of the Mus of Fatima is linked to the narration that says that she passed after 75 days. She stayed in this world for 75 days. In that state of intense grief and sorrow, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed Jibreel to descend upon her, and he began conversing with her. She wished to narrate and write down everything that Jibreel informed her of, but she was not in a state to write down. So what did she do? She turned to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, when the angel comes, can I request that you write down everything that I dictate to you? The Imam responds, Ya Zahra, Ya bint Rasulillah, the next time the angel approaches you, inform me. So gradually, Jibreel, over a period of time, would come down, descend, and spend time with Fatima and give her news, impart knowledge on her. And during this time, Fatima would dictate everything that was given to her by Jibreel to Amir al-Mu'mineen. The Imam would sit and he would write down everything. It's very beautiful because it raises the honor, the maqam of Fatima alayhi salam. This knowledge was exclusively given to her. Although Amir al-Mu'mineen was in the same room, that knowledge was exclusive to her, which she then imparted to the Imam alayhi salam. It's unbelievable how these narrations raise the maqam of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. So now, having understood how the Mus'haf came into being, what are the contents of this Mus'haf? It's a very interesting, very beautiful discussion held by the ulama, even that which are mentioned within the narrations. What are the contents of this Mus'haf? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, when he was asked what exactly is there in this Mus'haf, he replies, there is not a single word of the Quran within it. It is not the Quran. It has got nothing to do with the Quran. No association with the Quran. Not a single word of the Quran is present within the Mus'haf. Meaning that the message of the Quran is different compared to what the message of the Mus'haf of Fatima is. So when people come and ask and say, is this not considered to be wahi? No, it's not considered. It's a manifestation of wahi. But the message of the Quran, the objective of the Quran is that it's universal. It's for every single human being, whereas the contents of the Mus'haf of Fatima was exclusive for her, and after her, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. So he goes on to explain, the Imam alayhi salam, he says that not a single word of the Quran is within it. The message of the Quran is separate from the Mus'haf of Fatima. So if the Quran speaks about Tawheed, the Mus'haf of Fatima does not speak about Tawheed. If the Quran speaks about Nabuwa and Ma'ad, Yawm al-Qiyamah, the Mus'haf of Fatima does not engage in these areas. It is different. And then he goes on to explain the sixth Holy Imam. He says that the Mus'haf of Fatima, there is not a single law that is present within it. It does not speak about that which is halal or haram. So with regards to the Sharia, that is not within the scope of the Mus'haf of Fatima. So the narrator asks, says, what exactly is the Mus'haf of Fatima? He explains. He says that when Jibreel descended and when he began to converse with Fatima, he was consoling her by explaining to her the news of Rasulullah, his position within Jannah. And that soothed the heart, that consoled the heart of Fatima alayhi salam. Number two, he began to explain to her the history of the past nations, the people that were involved, their biographies, the key events that happened in the past, the key events that happen in the present, and information of what will transpire in the future as well. Specifically the names of the believers, their tribe, their lineage, the names of the disbelievers, their tribes, their lineage, some of the major instances or events that will occur in the world up to the day of judgment. All of this information was disclosed to Fatima alayhi salam. Now when you refer back to the Holy Quran, when we speak about the three women, the mother of Musa, Sarah, as well as Maryam alayhim salam, we realize that all three of them, information was not only given to them, but they were also given a glimpse of what will happen in the future. With regards to the two of the women, Allah will bless you with a child. With regards to the mother of Musa, your child will be safe. Do not fear. وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي. Do not fear, do not grieve. Whether it's in the short future, whether it's in the long term, it doesn't matter. The fact is that they were told about the future. Here, in this case, in this scenario, Fatima alayhi salam is given news about what will transpire in the future. Interestingly enough, when we refer to the books of our brothers, the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, you find that there are some narrations that speak about this and they share the same essence. So, for example, in Al-Bukhari, Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari, in his book Sahih al-Bukhari, he mentions a narration from Abu Huraira. Abu Huraira narrates, he says that I memorized 2 vessels from the Holy Prophet of Islam. The idea being that there were 2 categories of special knowledge. He says, I memorized from the Holy Prophet of Islam. One of these vessels I disseminated. I absorbed it and I disseminated it amongst the people. With regards to the second, if I was to disseminate it, this throat would be. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Ibn Athir, Qurtubi, in their books of history, when they discuss these narrations as well, they explain what Abu Huraira meant with his words. They say that Abu Huraira was fearful that certain information does not need to be known by the wider public. Certain information, if it's disclosed, it could be very dangerous for him. So he had to be very strategic in what information he disseminated, what information he imparted, and he was wise to not impart some sort of knowledge that he was given by the Holy Prophet of Islam. In fact, they referred to one of his sayings. They say that Abu Huraira once said, he said that I was taught by the Prophet of Islam, A'udhu billah, I seek the refuge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the 60th year after Hijrah, and the youths that will then govern. These were the words of Abu Huraira. What did he mean by this? What happened in the 60th of Hijrah, 60 years after Hijrah? Yazid ibn Muawiyah came into power. And then he said, I fear the youths who will then take on the position of Emara, governorship. And this was in reference to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. So we have this present within the books of our brothers. Within Muslim, Sahih al-Muslim, there's another narration. Hudhayfa mentions, he says that one day the Holy Prophet of Islam, we asked him a certain questions, specific questions. He sat on the minbar after delivering Fajr Salah. He sat on the minbar and he began disseminating knowledge, telling us of what will come. And then at the time of Dhuhr, he dismounted, recited Salat al-Dhuhr, we prayed behind him. After that, he again ascended the pulpit. And he carried on until the time of Asr. Dismounted, recited Salat al-Asr, and then ascended the pulpit and carried on until the time of Maghrib. And during this entire time, he was telling us all of the major events that would happen, that would transpire until the Day of Judgment. So again, these narrations are there, shared between both the Ahl al-Shia as well as the Ahl al-Sunnah. So when we look at what is known as the Mushaf of Fatima, we can categorize them into 3 features. The first feature is that this knowledge was given to Fatima from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibreel. The second feature is that this knowledge was used to console her. And the third, this knowledge has nothing to do with the Quran, it has nothing to do with the Sharia. Beyond this, there are narrations specifically from Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Where he explains, he says that we read and we review the book of Fatima alayhi salam, we benefit from it because we gain knowledge from it. Again, look at the honor of Fatima alayhi salam, that she is considered to be one of the sources of knowledge that is given to the A'immat al-Athhar. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, you look at all of the different scholars that existed during his time, all of them benefited from him. He is the teacher of all the teachers. He comes forward and he says, we are being taught by Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Through her works, through her words, we learn and we gain our knowledge. Imam Hassan al-Askari has a beautiful narration. He says, نَحْنُ حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ or نَحْنُ حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَىٰ خَلْقِهِ. We are the proofs of Allah over the earth, over His creation. وَجَدَّتُنَا فَاطِمَةٌ حُجَّةٌ عَلَيْنَا. But Fatima is a proof over us, our grandmother. Hujjah means that you clarify something for someone. to such an extent that they are shown the truth. Now it is their responsibility to incline themselves towards the truth or to walk away from it. But the hujjah has been established. The proof has been established. Fatima alayhi salam, the source of knowledge was so profound that it helped, it guided the A'immat al-Athar and the upcoming generations. Every single member of the Ahlul Bayt benefited from the knowledge of Fatima alayhi salam. I'll give you 3 examples. During the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And these are mentioned within the narrations. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in the year 128 AH. 128 after Hijrah, he makes a statement. He says, from now on, the movement of the atheists will begin and it will expand. The Imam alayhi salam passes away, he's martyred 20 years later, 148 AH. In 132 AH, that is when the Bani Umayyah were declining. That is when the Bani Abbas rose against the Bani Umayyah. Officially, the Bani Abbas now took over. When the Bani Abbas took over, you found that all of the different sects of Islam, as well as the atheistic movement, began to emerge. But the Imam had already made that statement in the year 128 AH. Beyond that, a century before that, in 11 AH, you found that Fatima al-Zahra had written this in the Mus of Fatima. He himself admits, he says that I have reviewed the book of Fatima and I came to know that in the year 128 AH, slowly the movement of the atheists will begin. When you refer to the biography of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, you have for example Ibn al-Muqaffa, one of the atheistic scholars that existed during that time. Ibn Muqaffa. You have Abdul Karim ibn Abil Awja. Many narrations between him and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where the Imam debates the scholars of the atheists. One of them was Ibn Abil Awja. The book, Tawheed al-Mufaddal. We've all come across it. The orangish cover that's there in the bookshop. Tawheed al-Mufaddal. How was that written? Why was it written? They say Mufaddal was in the mosque of Rasulullah when Ibn Abil Awja and one of his peers, they were abusing the Muslims. They were making fun of the Muslims. They're praying to a God that doesn't exist. Mufaddal then comes to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. The movements of the atheists is very vivid. It's expansive within this community. The Imam says to him, Ya Mufaddal, sit down. Listen to my words. Write down everything that I say to you. And this is how the book Tawheed al-Mufaddal came to be. It was a refutation against the atheists of the time. But all of that was predicted by the Holy Lady Fatima alayhi salam. The second example, the Imam came to know, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was also aware of all of the political movements that would take place. There was a companion, Fudayl ibn Yasar. Fudayl ibn Yasar, they say he was one of the high-ranking companions. When he died, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said that he indeed is from us, the Ahlul Bayt. Fudayl ibn Yasar, he was one who supported the Hassanids. Now the Hassanids were the lineage that came from Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Imam Hassan had a son, Abdullah, and from that lineage you had the Hassanids. Now the Hassanids went to war with the Bani Umayyah, the Bani Abbas, over who has right and sovereignty over the caliphate. So he came towards the Imam alayhi salam and the Imam said to him, Fudayl, think very carefully before if you want to engage the Bani Abbas, because I have reviewed the book of Fatima, the Mus of Fatima, and I have not come across any name from the Bani Hassan, from the tribe of the Hassanids, who will then take on rulership and kingship. What does that mean? What's the implication of this? That if you go to battle, you will lose, and you will lose your life. Considering the fact that Ibn Yasar was a faqih, was a mufassir, was a muhaddith, it's as if the Imam is warning him, your place is not in the battlefield, it's elsewhere, helping me guide the people in the community. Be very careful of the decisions that you make. If you engage in war, your name is not mentioned anywhere in the book that you will become a ruler or a king. Not in Baghdad, not in Medina. That's the second example. The third example is a beautiful example. Mufaddal ibn Umar again. Mufaddal ibn Umar was loved by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. There were two companions, Mufaddal ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Fadl. They entered the presence of the Imam alayhi salam. When the Imam saw Mufaddal, he began to smile. He began to smile and he approaches Mufaddal. He says, Ya Mufaddal, Wallahi, by God, I love you. And I love those who love you. He says, Ya Mufaddal, if all of my companions were to have knowledge the way you have knowledge, no two of them would dispute one another. There would be no conflicts, there would be no disputes between them. Mufaddal responds, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I fear that you're placing me on a position that I do not deserve. You see me in such a good light, I don't deserve it. You're placing me in a rank beyond what I deserve. The Imam responds to him. He says that you have been placed in a rank that Allah has placed you in. Then he refers to Abdullah ibn Fadl. He says, Ya Abdullah, Allah has created us from a light of His greatness. Allah has created us from a light of His greatness and has made us through His mercy. He has created your souls from our souls, and He has created your bodies from us as well, such that there is an inclination from us towards you and from you towards us. There is some mixed in some. The Imam continues, he continues until in the very end he says, Abdullah ibn Fadl, would you like to see your name written in this book? Which book? Who's paying attention? Which book? The Mus of Fatima. Ahsantum. Says, would you like your name to be seen? Would you like to see your name within this book? He replies in the affirmative. He then tells his servant, bring me the book of Fatima. He opens the book. He says, Abdullah, look. When Abdullah looks, he says, I saw the book, I saw the page. The page was empty, it was white. And I did not see any trace of writing whatsoever. So, Ibn Rasulullah, I don't see anything. The Imam said to him, look again. The Imam places his hand over the page and all of a sudden the contents of the page appear. He says, your name is mentioned at the bottom of this page. Abdullah ibn Fadl, he says, when I saw my name mentioned right there in the book of Fatima alayhi salam, the first thing I did was I fell into sujood, thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has considered me to be amongst the Shia of Ali Muhammad. Salawatullahi wa salam alayhi. These communications between Jibreel and Fatima alayhi salam continued. It continued for a while, and this is the information that was imparted upon her. This information was inherited by the Imams one generation after another. To the extent that one of the proofs of Imamah, one of the dalil or dalail of Imamah is that the Imam, they come forward and they say, we are the ones who possess the Mus'haf of Fatima. We are in possession of this book of Fatima. Until the time came when Fatima was now ready to depart from this world. The narrations say that towards the end of her life, due to her wounds, she was bedridden. And on a day such as this, the Imam alayhi salam enters the room upon which Fatima is sleeping. When he enters the room, he sits alongside her. Then all of a sudden, he witnesses Fatima alayhi salam rising from her deathbed and engaging in two tasks at once. On the one hand, she is making dough, making bread. On the other, she is making a paste that is used to clean hair. The Imam is in a state of shock. Visibly, he could see that his wife is in pain. Yet she is engaging in two tasks at once. He says, Ya Zahra, ya binta Rasulillah, it's as if the plane has left your body. Why is it that you engage in these tasks at this time? She responds, she says, Ya Abul Hasan, I have just seen my father Rasulullah. My father has just approached me and said to me, Ya Fatima, tonight is the night that you will join me. Ya Abul Hasan, after tonight I will no longer be with you. After I depart from this world, Ya Abul Hasan, you will be busy with my janazah. performing my ghusl, performing my kafan and my dafan, Ya Abul Hassan. I fear that my children will be hungry. It says, Ya Abul Hassan, tomorrow night, take my body and bury me in the middle of the night when the people of Medina are sleeping. I fear that their hair will become dusty. Before her final moments, as she lays down, now she is alone with Asma bint Umays. She says to Asma, Ya Asma, let me rest for a little while. Go wait for me outside the room. After a while, call out for me. If I respond, I am still with you. And if I do not, then know I have left this world. Asma does as she's told. She leaves the room. After a while, a few moments later, Ya Fatima, and there is no response. Ya bint Muhammadin al-Mustafa, and there is no response. O daughter of the one, the great one to walk on this earth, and there is no response. She enters the room. Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima, she sees that the body is no longer moving. When she leaves the room, this is when the two children, Imam Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, they come towards Asma. Ya Asma, where is our mother? When they enter the room, Imam al-Hussein observes that his mother is no longer moving. Imam al-Hassan now begins to embrace Fatima. He calls out, Ya Ummah, Ya Ummah, kallimni, speak with me, my mother, before my soul leaves my body. Abu Abdullah begins to kiss the legs of his mother, calling out, Ya Ummah, and ibnuk al-Hussein. Speak with me before my heart breaks and I die. Asma, she quickly gathers the two young men. Go and inform Amir al-Mu'mineen. They leave the house, they go towards Masjid al-Nabi. When they see their father, they call out, Yunadiyan, Ya Muhammadan, Ya Ahmada, matat ummuna. When the Imam hears their words, he collapses very slowly. He makes his way back home. He takes a few steps and he collapses. He stands, takes a few steps and he collapses again. There is a wasiyah that Bibi Fatima left behind for Bibi Zainab alayhi salam, which transpired on the 10th of Muharram. Zainab was 5 years of age, but 50 years later, when she saw Abu Abdullah alayhi salam preparing for the battlefield, as he is moving towards the enemies, as he is distancing himself away from Zainab, Zainab calls out, Mahlan, mahlan, ya ibn al-Zahra. Mahlan, mahlan, ya ibn al-Zahra. Slow down, do not hasten for battle, O son of Zahra. Wait for me, dismount from your horse. She approaches the Imam. She then kisses his neck and his chest. She turns towards Medina. And she calls out, Ya Ummah, your trust has been returned. Your trust has been fulfilled. Abu Abdullah responds, Ya Zainab, what trust do you speak of? She then narrates, oh my brother, our mother in her final moments. She called on to me. She said, Ya Zainab, come towards me. She then took me by the neck, she kissed my neck and she kissed my chest. And she said, a day will come, Ya Zainab, when you will find your brother ghariban wahida. A stranger, alone, no aid to aid him, no helper to help him. When you see him in that state, kiss him on his neck and kiss him on his chest. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. ماتم الحسين.
سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر زہرا کا در جلا کر زہرا کا در جلا کر زہرا پہ در گرا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر اے زہرا کا در جلا کر زہرا کا در جلا کر زہرا پہ در گرا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر ہے تربت سے فاطمہ کی آتی ہے یہ صدا ہے پہلو سے ہاتھ میرا اب تک نہیں ہٹا ہے مہدی مجھے سنبھالو مہدی مجھے سنبھالو غیبت سے جلد آ کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر اے تربت سے فاطمہ کی آتی ہے یہ صدا ہے پہلو سے ہاتھ میرا اب تک نہیں ہٹا ہے مہدی مجھے سنبھالو مہدی مجھے سنبھالو غیبت سے جلد آ کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر ہے دربار سے ضعیفہ گھر کی طرف چلی ہے اللہ ہی جانتا ہے کتنی دفعہ گری ہے لائے ہیں اپنے گھر تک لائے ہیں اپنے گھر تک حسنین خود اٹھا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر ظالم کا تازیانہ جس ہاتھ پر لگا ہے وہ ہاتھ فاطمہ کا اٹھ ہی نہیں رہا ہے پڑھتی ہے اب نمازیں پڑھتی ہے اب نمازیں ایک ہاتھ ہی اٹھا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر ہے ظالم کا تازیانہ جس ہاتھ پر لگا ہے وہ ہاتھ فاطمہ کا اٹھ ہی نہیں رہا ہے پڑھتی ہے اب نمازیں پڑھتی ہے اب نمازیں ایک ہاتھ ہی اٹھا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر ہائے منظر بڑا کٹن تھا جس دم لگا تماچا سر بیت مصطفیٰ کا دیوار سے لگا تھا منہ پیٹتے تھے حیدر منہ پیٹتے تھے حیدر آنکھوں سے خوب بہا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر مارا ہے فاطمہ کو سب نے رلا رلا کر یا فاطمہ زہرا 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 سینے میں لیے رنج و علم کرب و بلا کا یا فاطمہ زہرا بابا سے ہے ملنے کو چلی ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا آنکھوں سے لہو بہتا ہے پہلو ہے شکستہ یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا 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 امت نے بہت آپ کو پڑھ پایا ہے بی بی ہر حق کے لیے آپ کو ترسایا ہے بی بی غاصب نے جو دربار میں بلوایا ہے بی بی اس دکھ سے لرزنے لگا خود عرش خدا کا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا شبیر کی دنیا میں ولادت سے بھی پہلے کہتی تھی یہ زہرا کہ بہت سہتی ہوں صدمے بچہ یہ میرا خوک میں بے چین بہت ہے بچہ میرا کہتا ہے کہ اماں میں ہوں پیاسا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا ماں کھانا کھلاتی ہے تو پھر کھاتے ہیں بچے جاتی ہے جہاں ماں وہیں آ جاتے ہیں بچے بن ماں کے کبھی چین نہیں پاتے ہیں بچے کام آتا ہے بچوں کے بہت ماں کا سہارا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا سینے میں ازل سے ہی میرے کرب و بلا ہے جاتے ہوئے زہرا نے یہ دنیا سے کہا ہے کیا شام میں ہونا ہے یہ سب مجھ کو پتا ہے تپتے ہوئے صحرا میں ہے شبیر کا لاشا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا دنیا سے چلی کہتی ہوئی بنت پیمبر غم کرب و بلا کا ہے لیے یہ دل مضطر آتا ہے تصور میں میرے شام کا منظر اللہ رکھے زین کو کلثوم کا پردہ یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا ماؤں سے عزاداروں کی زہرا نے کہا ہے عاشور کے مقصد کا حرم تم نے رکھا ہے بچوں کو عزاداری پر قربان کیا ہے محشر میں چکاؤں گی میں قرضہ یہ تمہارا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یہ کام رہا صدیوں سے بس اہل عزا کا پیاسوں کے لیے بہتا رہا عشق کا دریا شبیر کا پرسا دیا زہرا کو ہمیشہ شبیر کو دو مادرے شبیر کا پرسا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا ام ابیہا یا حسین 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 سر کو کٹا کے دین پہ سر کو کٹا کے حسين يا 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 حسين خالق تیرا ممنون ہے خالق تیرا ممنون ہے مرتضی اور فاطمہ کے نور ہے یا حسین 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 محمد و آل محمد صلوات
لبيك يا حسين 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 لبيك يا محمد وآل محمد صلوات
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. زيارة فاطمة الزهراء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا والدتي الحجج على الناس أجمعين. السلام عليك أيتها المظلومة الممنوعة حقها. اللهم صل على أمتك وابنة نبيك وزوجة وسي نبيك صلاة تزلفها فوق زلف عبادك المكرمين من أهل السماوات وأهل الأرضين. والسلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبا الفضل العباس وأختيك زينب وأم كلثوم المرضية وبنتك سكينة. والصلاة والسلام أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا حجة الله يا ابن الحسن يا صاحب العصر والزمان سيدي الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله لك ما وعدك من النصر وظهور الأمر ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله.
اللهم كل وليك الحج بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آله في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا وتلينا وآينا حتى تسكنه أرزك توا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد.
Brothers, as announced previously, you are requested to be seated so that tabarruk can be served. Please be seated so that tabarruk can be served. Ahsant.